Okay, so as we see that people are filled with good things from doing the righteous works of God, right, from bearing the fruit of God, we see that the works of their hands bring them a reward. We also see that they're trying to make it harder for me to talk. Now, what does that mean here? It often becomes a more important issue to discuss here because the Bible is just the Bible. And I'm the top martial artist. For example, I could come up with Proverbs off the top of my head. Like the green grass after it has rained, in a very important way, is the righteous who bear fruit. Just that fast. So when we look at the situation, we must first realize that my life story far transcends the Bible and the Jews and the English Wales and all the whites, Jews, and LGBT put together. Now, why highlight this? Well, first of all, it's doing God's work. It's firing back at the wicked. The American military are wicked for their role in this. They should have preferred death rather than persecuting me. The contractors, the police, the CIA. Okay, you see that I'm minding my business. I'm trying to explain these videos, and they interfere because they're doing the work of the devil, and they're filling themselves and their families with the work of the devil. When they reproduce, their semen is full of the work of the devil, the spirit of the devil, and it brings them right down. And it's very, very pitiful. Now, can you imagine if they were led by people with sense? If they had sense, it wouldn't come to this. So the work of their hands is going to bring them punishment because they've accepted the mark of the beast. They're marks. Mark as punks, as the story said. The story goes. So I'm sure you can all understand it's better to be Christ stumbling on his words than some Simpson punk. Some sissy-made Simpson punk. And as we see that they're not diligent in doing God's work, but instead they're doing the work of the devil, they bring themselves down, their families, their country, you name it. And boy, is it pitiful. Their failure to man up is heartbreaking, is pitiful. It is rather disgusting, rather detestable. Now, you got to ask yourself, why did they make that mistake? Well, when people are led by the devil, they don't use their head. When people don't have the heart to honor God, they don't use their head, and they rot. That's why the word rot is like the word rate. Rates of rot. People who wrote that almost certainly were thinking about people rotting in this world from continuing to be evil. Their refusal to do God's work is pathetic. So when we see the hands gathering up the wind, okay, they're not talking about the military. They're not talking about other people who argue that they're martial artists. They're talking about me. And it was very stupid for, these occultists to interfere. These people saying stupid stuff. They say stupid stuff like, oh, you're putting yourself above us. Can you imagine being from that low stock that you find yourself saying to Jesus that the problem is he's putting himself above you? Can you imagine that's your legacy? That's your heritage? It's disgraceful. Just because Israel has utterly disgraced itself to the point of no return doesn't mean that the whites and Jews and LGBT and token minorities of the world should do the same. It's retarded, right? Now, if a race has come together from its various points to do evil, a race, all races, what have you, let's focus on any race, not necessarily just whites or Jews, any race. Is it smart to keep reproducing with them? No. For example, the Philistines lived in America and they had the opportunity to mix. And keep in mind, no one should reproduce no matter what. And they were the main ones leading the charge against Christ, against me. Is it smart, if you're a Philistine, for example, to keep reproducing with them and say, hey, you have no part in that? How do you have no part in that? But you know that the bikers, the police, the military, all white-themed groups, skaters, surfers, rockers, goths, emos, whitewashed K-pop people, what have you, frats, corporate people, you know that they're all on board with the plan, playing their position. Playing their what? Position. The word position is even poisoned and scrambled. How are you going to then keep reproducing them and say, hey guys, maybe we're blessed? No, you're cursed. Because your race's heart causes you to keep reproducing with your race. And your race led the charge against Christ. These are facts here. Should people lie about what happened in World War II because they want to spare the Germans or the Italians' feelings or maybe the Japanese? Should they lie about it? No. If it comes out that the Jews were more guilty than it seems when they got put into camps, should they lie about that? No, they should tell the truth, right? How much more when it comes to what happened when Christ was here? If you were God, you're watching these traitors in the governing class, these evil people, and they're plotting in a calculated manner to try to cheat your son. And you see people seeing that all the groups in their races are playing their position. And they're making stupid arguments saying, hey, we don't approve of the plan. Really? How come you're still that race every generation? And keep in mind, no one should reproduce no matter what. So is your argument that you're not going to reproduce? And if you didn't, those who don't obey God through me don't go to heaven. Okay? But if you're in rebellion and you reproduce with the most guilty races, the one who led the charge against me, what the hell can you say when you meet your maker? Is your argument that you're a retard and that's the best you can do? Is your argument that you're a feeble coward? Is your argument that because you're from that group, you're not smart enough to make a good decision? Maybe that'll help a little bit. But it's not sufficient because mankind has been evolving for a long time. They had plenty of time to fix their brain function. Natural selection, okay, what paths they're walking, the ways they're walking in. It's very dumb to be some sniveling, pipsqueak coward, some Ichabod, some sniveling worm who persecutes Christ and tries to pretend that his group is superior. And then their groups are full of subgroups that are playing their position. They are what? They're playing their position. They're part and parcel. They're complicit. They're slacking their work while being complicit. They're part of the design. They're part of Babylon's system. They're trying to be part of the first-class citizen races in Babylon's system. And they have planned their future with that in mind. More often than not, when people reproduce with their own race, especially an oppressor race, what ends up happening is they look at the situation and say, what do they think is in their best interest? I mean, how often, for example, do females not breed with a consideration of money? They say, can this person afford me? Like a gold-digging whore, right? But the point is, they're considering the situation and they're making a call. If you look at the situation as someone from the main groups persecuting, be it a racial group, religious, whatever it is, and you make a conscious decision to reproduce with them because you think that the fruits of being in their spirit, in their presence, in their groupings are worthwhile, then boy, are you guilty to the extreme. And when my hands are gathering up the wind, which they always are, when the fire from heaven is coming down and cooking the rebels, will you not be caught up in it? Will you not be swept away with the lava, with the burning lake of fire, with the burning lake of sulfur? So as they persecute me more and more, are their sins not piled up more and more? Revelation 18 said her sins are piled up to heaven and God has remembered her crimes. So are the works of your hands bringing you reward? Are they filling you with good things? Are they defining you as somebody who does the work of God? Are they defining you as somebody who's well-meaning, who's committed to doing the work of God? Are your hands defining you as righteous? Are they defining you as just? It's very key there. The wise versus the foolish builders. So the hands of the wise and righteous will rule over the wicked. Because the righteous move in the spirit of God, the wicked move in the spirit of selfishness, the cult of the flesh. The word selfish is a play on words for see flesh. And martial is marital scrambled, and I Christ and the bridegroom, the top martial artist. The word heart is a play on words for he art, martial art. Martial means to order, to arrange. The divine order, the word divine is like the word diving, because it's a Royal African Falcon martial art order that God has set apart to rule over the world. Not the governments of the world, not the churches, not the mosques, not the synagogues. They're merely established by mankind. But the martial arts come from God. Through nature, mankind evolved hunting. Evolved hunting and thinking. And healing, right? The word healed is a play on words for he lead. Because the same kind of spirit that brings martial destruction is the same spirit that brings life. When the Spirit of God comes into contact with the wicked, it rots their souls and spirits and marshals them like a whirlwind. It marshals them like a storm. And they'll hide in caves. They should have behaved. And what is worse than being spiritually slain? What is the essence of martial arts? It is focused moral intensity and universal pinpointed moral precision. These things are divine, they're sacred, they're transcendent, they're potent. It's incense, they're intense. And when the die is finally cast, when everything is resolved, when the puzzle is solved, when the riddles and parables and sayings of the wise come to a head, were you walking as a righteous person in the way of righteousness along the paths of justice, or were you the walking dead? Were you a fool played like a fool? Like, what is a trick? Someone the devil tricked through his proxies, through his subordinates, through his servants, through his snakes. To snake means to cheat. And the word cheat is a play on words for see, heat, and hiat, and seat, which goes back to the divine order. The devil's a deceiver and a rebel. The word rebel is like the word Baal, another word for Baal. And the word Baal is like the word build. Because what are they building? What are they up to? Are they concrete, concreation? Or are they procreating? Are they creating it in the Spirit of God, the pro of pros, the King of kings? In the absence of righteousness, there's just the realm of the dead. Without the principles of righteousness, there's just injustice. And when people build on injustice, they create abominations. So when the prostitute and the beast combine together, when they fuse, right, in the confusion, the confuse, they, in the spirit of deceit, they come together and they reproduce the spirit of evil. And it takes form in the flesh. It takes form in the material. The word mate is like the word material. What are they building? When the storm comes, the foolish builders' building will collapse. They will have failed. They fail out of grace. They failed life's test. The word test is like the word set. And Set is the adversary of the Royal African Falcon martial art order. The Heros, the Master, the Horus, the Great Falcon, the King of Kings, the Anointed, the Savior. Nothing corny about intense martial arts. Everything corny when it comes to the church's lying about the divine order. When they meet their maker, are they going to argue that they're right and the top martial artist ever possible is magically wrong? Or will they bow like the rest because they failed the test?